from a church to the streets of Durban, then Joburg, and of course all the way to the Olympic stage. Our guest today on Women in Sport Africa is Courtnaé Paul, South Africa's break dancing queen, from the African stage, of course, to the global one. She's broken all boundaries, and I mean literally. Let's hear her story. South Africa's favorite B-girl, Courtnaé Paul, thank you so much for chatting to us on Women in Sport Africa. So I know it all started in church, but I need to know, in Durban, yes, where's this church and what was this movement that got you
any
here?
unnecessary plugs, you know what I mean? But funny enough, it was literally just across the road from my house, and we could hear the music. I grew up Methodist, but this was a Pentecostal church, you know, which is like rocking the daisies for Jesus. So I could just hear that music all the time. And one of my best friends was going to that church at the time. And I used to just nag my parents, like, please, can I go? And it was always an absolute no. And one Sunday I just said, right, I'm going to the Methodist church for that 1 hour, and then I'm going to fly to this church just to see. As soon as I walked in, I said, no, man. Like, it was the live music. It was just the combination of, you know, that experience. And I was hooked.
You were hooked indeed. And when did you realize? Because church and dance, you don't necessarily put the two together. But I know African churches also do have that, you know, that movement thing. But when did you realize that there's, you know, people can dance, but I think I can do it a little better?
Actually, I don't think I ever realized. I think I was in the dark for the longest time. One of the most insane memories I have was one of the pastors, and her and I just didn't get along. And after one of the rehearsals, she came up to me and she said, you know, I'll be surprised if you ever have a future without dance. And I thought she was being rude. I was like, how dare you wish this upon me? Because to me, dance didn't seem like a viable career. It didn't seem feasible in any way. Like, where do you begin? How do I start this? Especially in Durban, and especially considering the dance style that I do. But that for me was really the first thing where I went, oh, so people think I'm good at this thing. And then let me just try again. And I'm always somebody who would like punch above my weight. And then next thing I'm performing before my time. So it really just steamrolled.
And at home, I mean, outside of the church, because the church was the friend's church. At home, what did that look like? Siblings, your parents?
Absolute party house. Like, my parents were known for just throwing the biggest prize. The gate was open, the music was on, so people were just coming in and out. So I grew up, and I think as a DJ now, that's also why I have such an eclectic taste in music, because I grew up listening to absolutely everything. So I always knew as a family we have rhythm. But I mean, I would have never said, hey, this one's going to get paid to, you know, two-step. It was never part of the plan.
So is there a career where you thought, okay, maybe I can be a doctor or a nurse?
No, so I think, my first professional dancing gig, I was 15. And it opened the floodgates. I mean, I got paid absolutely nothing. But I was like, okay, so I'm professional now. And, you know, let me keep pushing this thing. So it started really early where I didn't have any other idea in mind, but I wanted to see this through. I did go study. I was doing a BCom. Just before I finished, I had moved to Joburg, and I got the opportunity to dance at the Summers or go write accounting. And that was when I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to have to make this decision. And I went to the Summers. And that's when I said, okay, done with
exam.
BCom. Yeah, now. For what? Now I must be on stage counting a ledger there. No.
Yeah. No. So then that was it with your BCom.
That was it. Because I was studying part-time and I'm funding it and I'm trying to dance and make money and I'm teaching. And I just got to a point where I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to have to go all in, irrespective of whether I can see what's on the other side. And I've just chosen to live like that ever since.
So, I mean, hip-hop is probably the first genre that you'll think of when you think of breakdancing. Talk to me about that breakdancing scene then. Was it something that you were already seeing and spotting and liking at the time, or it was just other dance genres that you were in?
It's an interesting one because at the time, I mean, I'm dancing in the church, right? So I'm not exposed to too much.
Yeah.
But then I'm putting on the TV and there's Usher and Missy Elliott and I'm just watching all these things. But at the time I was doing gymnastics, I played soccer, I was doing kickboxing, so I was always super active. And once I started dancing, I'm going, okay, cool, maybe I can do that like weird backflip thing that I do at gymnastics and put it in the music. So I kind of started formulating these weird routines, not realizing that I was leading towards breaking. So at the time, and hip-hop, breaking is the original dance of hip-hop. So it was the first dance under that umbrella. I didn't know this. So at the time, I'm going to the Bat Center, the Durban hip hop scene was booming, crumping, all these things, but I wasn't dancing. I'm just a spectator. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
We had one b-boy crew at the time, but no females. So I always just thought this is not, a space for me. And like I say, after a while, you just do your little tricks and people go, that's cool and that's cool. And a couple, little time down the line, this is what you do now and this is what you're known for. And especially when I moved to Joburg, I was exposed to it more. But always being one of the few females, if not the only one in the room, and always just feeling like, why? Why can't we do the cool stuff too? So yeah, I think it was just seeing stuff, experiencing things, but not realizing that it was all part of the bigger picture.
And I'm one of the very few female journalists, sports journalists in the country where you'll attend a press conference and I'm still the only female. In many press rooms, I still find that. And the minute you enter, you scan the room to see, is there someone else that looks that's probably wearing pink like me or am I really the only one? But what then made you go ahead anyway?
I think I'm a little bit crazy. I think I'm delusional.
Sometimes you need that.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's a big key to success. I think I'm not looking to fit in. For the biggest part of my career, like when I moved to Joburg, I was trying to fit in, and it was the most difficult thing. Who was going to book me? Like at the time, I had started a company. I'm booking dancers and artists because I understood that what I do is so specific and so niche that like I can't go do a gig at a club. Like girls are in the skimpy thing. I'm like, can I do a handstand for you guys while you're popping body? They're like, absolutely not. So I had to pivot, man, and figure out like, how do I still stay true to myself? And I think that's always been my true north. It's like, does this represent who I am? Does it make me comfortable? Money or not? Like, this is something I'm very serious about, is that I have to feel like this is who I am and that I'm being authentic. It hasn't been the easiest journey because I feel like I'm creating the blueprint as I go.
Yeah.
We don't have these success stories. On the continent, it doesn't exist. I remember I was seeing one of my first females of color ever dancing on TV, Losha Cooper, and I was like, that's insane. Watching backstage, I'm like, yo, crazy. But I'm watching somebody doing this classically trained type dance, and I'm like, I'm so far removed from this. What does my success story look like? And yeah, man, I think for me, it's just a matter of, let's just see, let's see.
See as we go.
Let's like and see how far we can take it.
So from watching Losha Cooper on backstage, which I loved as well, by the way, to taking the world by storm and representing South Africa as well, Courtnaé Paul is our guest on Wiser this afternoon. So when we come back, we get to know her just a little bit more and what sparked her interest when it comes to breaking. Welcome back to another episode, part 2 actually, of our chat with Courtnaé Paul. Courtnaé, so now you've just moved into Joburg, but I want to reverse a little bit and just talk about how you managed to dominate the KZN dancing scene with very little.
Yeah. Dominate is a strong word, but I think I definitely left my mark. I love to say by the time I left Durban, I think I had done every concert, every Sweet 16, every wedding, every casino. I'd done it all just because I was really relentless about knocking on every door. Like I said, I always say the entry to success is, you can't be scared to fail and you can't be scared to be embarrassed. And for me, trying is nothing to feel, ashamed about. So by the time I left Durban, I come to Joburg. I could have been 20, 21 with, a couple coins in my pocket. And couple is a strong word. And I'm dancing for Toya Lazy at the time, which wasn't enough money for me to have an apartment or anything of that nature. I'd call home like, can somebody send me 10 rand at time? But again, it was all just part of the bigger picture, man. And I think it goes back to knowing that nothing's going to be just, given to me. Even now at this stage, I don't expect anything. I I fully expect to work harder than everybody else, and I'm okay with that.
But knocking on doors to a point of dancing for the likes of Sean Paul, Lil Wayne, that confidence and independence from a young age to be able, because I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted. I'll dance here in the corner, sure, but what do you mean on a stage of a global artist that's coming to South Africa?
No, honestly, and the way it happened is there was this era in Durban, I don't know what was going on at the Wave House, where all these international acts were coming, Fat Man Scoop, and like, remember how it started is they initially had a competition, vote for your local acts to win, you know.
Yes.
And I remember I won it because all the people on Facebook, you know, my mother got all her friends. I was like, tell them to vote. So I remember winning the first one over Facebook. And from there, I remember just constantly hounding the promoters because I didn't want to just dance as part of backup of anything. I wanted us to be the act. So that was always a big thing for me, is that I know I left Durban with a different lens of dance, going, oh, dances are something to be respected and not just like the bottom of the barrel. Because in the general entertainment industry, that's what dancers are. You know, you need a filler, you know, you need a whatever. It's just like, get some dancers, we'll pay them the least, they must be here the longest. It carries very little respect. And part of my journey and the legacy I want to leave behind is making sure that people understand this is a very serious career, even from a sporting lens. I'm training 15, 17 hours a week outside of everything else I have to do. And what I put my body through is no less than any other elite athlete. But because dance has seemed so casual and, you know, people often don't respect it. But I think we're on a good path and good journey to changing that narrative.
But also then you went and you chose a genre in dancing that's not necessarily the most popular at the time in South Africa. So that on its own comes in with a different kind of challenge.
Yeah, I always think of my friend Jason Goliath. The first interview we did together, he said, you are the only person I know that's still breakdancing since 1972. So again, I think part of me wants to prove him wrong. But yeah, it's not the most commercial. It's not the most popular. Globally, it's a very different conversation. But in South Africa, I think because it's so few and far between, it takes a very long time to be even a decent level at this dance, at this sport. So people generally tap out quite quickly. And it's been very hard to get the commercial value out of it, which is why I take every opportunity to have these kind of conversations. And that's why these platforms are so important, so that people go, oh, this exists. And I think that's the first missing link in our chain in terms of breaking, is the general education of people and our dance and our sport. They think it doesn't exist, or they think it's this very far-fetched thing, you know, but it's been around forever. And I think as long as we can keep opening doors and making more opportunities for our youth, who are, again, always suffering from lack of opportunities, you know, unemployment, all these things, we're giving them an additional opportunity to take control of their futures. I'm not saying it's easy, but there's an additional way. Stay off the streets, go dance, and you can turn it into something. And I'm testament to that.
I've spoken to a young lady that was playing FIFA. They actually started a concept called Play FIFA Like a Girl. And one of the things for her was being in a room and ikasi, number one, going to play video games. It's not the most conducive for females.
Oh, I love that. I love
but
it.
nonetheless, I mean, she's gotten and competed in stages as well as one of the FIFAs, the girls that are in gaming basically in the country. How was that for you, being that only girl in the room, but also then, are you seeing more girls coming into the space, and is it easy for them to come in?
I think when I started, I could have maybe counted the amount of B-girls that I was aware of in the country on one hand. I think now I can still kind of do the same thing. However, it is growing, the level is getting better. But I had to get comfortable very quickly with being the only female in the room. I had to get comfortable very quickly with being the worst breaker in the room in order to learn and to grow. Breaking it's like, I always attribute it to like a martial arts or gymnastics. It's not something you go learn in a day. It's not something how long is the backflip going to take you to learn? It's not 1 month and I'm good. No, it takes forever. And in breaking, you've got to chain all these different sets of skills. And I think maybe that's why people tend to tap out. But with additional opportunities, breaking now being an official Olympic sport, Red Bull having a B-girl category in the Red Bull BC1, which is one of the most premium breaking comps in the world, if not it's giving us roadmaps to go, okay, cool. So if I work hard and I win this, I can get there, which I didn't have before. Prior to lockdown, I was fully immersed in my DJ and dance career from a commercial lens. I'm traveling, I'm judging, I'm doing TV, whatever. And we go into lockdown and I go, cool, what am I doing now? And that's when the Olympics pops up, and that's when BC1 goes, we've got a B-girl category, and suddenly it gave me something to train for. So again, I'd love to be, 10, 15 years younger. I'm competing against kids, essentially, who their level is insane. But again, there's a bigger picture, and I think part of my legacy is making sure that I'm leaving behind a clearer path as best as I can for future generations.
Well, already from a young age, we've been seeing this bigger picture. It started in KZN, moved to Joburg, but of course then to the global stage. It's the story of Courtnaé Paul. And when we come back, we dive in, or maybe we dance in a little deeper to her story. It's Women in Sport Africa. And welcome back to Wiser, Women in Sport Africa, a show that profiles and shines the lights on the spotlights on women in sport. And today it's a different kind of sport. It's dancing. It's the one we love, especially here in South Africa. So tell me more about this move from KZN to Joburg with approximately just a little under 600 rand, dancing for Toya DeLazy. How crucial, when you look back, was the decision to move for your career?
Oh, I think I knew very clearly that if I don't move, I don't really have a future in dance. And I don't say that because Durban lacks, talent or whatever. There's a huge melting pot of talent in Durban. However, as we know, the industry is in Joburg. And I remember Anthony Morgan at the time, who was Toya's manager, said, listen, you're the only dancer that's sitting outside of Joburg. We can't be flying you to gigs and whatever. Like, you need to make the move. And that's when I realized I'm actually cutting myself out of opportunities by not being in the right place. So I think if I'm prepared and I position myself correctly, I'm going to be able to walk through the right doors. And that for me was probably the most instrumental thing I've done till this day. And again, kind of just winging it, just and going. But I mean, it's been 11 or 12 years now. And I don't think I'd live in any other city, to be honest.
But like you said as well earlier on, that your father passing at such a young age, which is 13, in a way, that moment forced you to grow quickly, but it ended up even helping you, because then you come into Joburg. Not everyone survives in Joburg, because, I mean, it is very different,
My stance has always been like, I've been through hell. I'll be very surprised if Joburg can show me something I haven't seen already. Like, I've been hijacked, I've been pistol whipped with 9 staples in my head. Like, my mom actually passed a month ago, which has just been a complete shaking of my life all over again. And I'm just like, okay, cool. What next? And again, I think in life, and I don't think any of these experiences are unique to me. I think, especially as South Africans, we've all been through some stuff. And at the end of the day, we go, am I going to sit in the corner, cry about it, and, 20 years later go, oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda, whatever, and I'm just full of regret? Or do I just keep trying it to the best of my ability? I don't know where this ends up, but I think I've got enough gas in the tank to make sure that it ends up where I want it to.
But I'm sure, Courtnaé, there's moments where you're just like, okay, maybe this gas is just not enough, even if it's for 2 days.
All the time. But, don't be confused by this. No, all the time. I think it's perfectly normal to go through stages of self-doubt, of imposter syndrome, of feeling like, why am I even doing this thing to begin with? When we're in a country that, again, my sport isn't recognized in the way that I'd like it to be, I'm competing on stages where they've really got it figured out, from government support, their facilities, the structure is in place. And here we are just, yes, we've got dance sport, I've got my national colors, amazing, and then what? You know what I mean? So again, it's going to be very hard to advocate for change if there's no success behind it. There's a reason the Springboks, for example, get the level of support they do, because their success is undeniable. And that's what I'm going to have to do. So yes, there's days when I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, because it really sometimes is like, this is not rewarding in any way. My body is aching, like I've got a broken this, a twisted that, like nobody's paying me to do this in this way. So yeah, I do go back and forth, but I think when you've just got this inner calling, this purpose, this delusion that's as big as mine, I think it would be worse.
But then you touched on the passing of your mom, which is not too long ago when you think about it. I mean, a month ago, it's still very fresh. But here you are, I guess, as you're saying that you need to get going, you need to get back to it. But how proud then was she to look at your journey, having seen you leave home, not just to go to
which she wasn't happy about.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you know, as mothers, you want to see your kids around you all the time. Here you are now switching and moving to a province that also doesn't have the best reputation, with a plan that doesn't sound foolproof, because what do you mean you're going to Joburg? You don't even have to die how. It's not even going to some career field or whatever. But how proud do you think she then became of what she saw? And I mean, she still had the moments where she saw your success.
Honestly, I don't have to think about it. She told me every day. She was my biggest supporter. And the reason she was so vocal about it was because she absolutely hated this career path in the beginning. She just, especially in like any POC will tell you, you know the story. Go study something, go get a job, just get stable, and then we figure out where you move from there. Don't take risks. Like, how dare you think you're gonna go shoot for the stars? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really took us a while to get to a place where she understood what I did, and it just made her so proud. I think the turning point for her was seeing me on a YoTV ad. She was like running around the office like, my child is the Y on YoTV. You know? And that changed it for her. I think at the time I had choreographed the opening for Richard Branson. That didn't faze her at all. She was more interested that I was the Y on YoTV. So it had to be like close to home for her. So yeah, very proud. And I think, I mean, as soon as I got back from Durban after, you know, we laid my mom to rest, I got straight back into training and back into life, because one, life does unfortunately keep moving. I can't put everybody on pause. And two, I think she would have wanted that. I think she took joy and pride knowing that her child was a little bit, we like to say, forward. Where I'm not going to wait for you to call me and I'm going full steam ahead.
And wow, what a story it's turned out to be so far. It's part one with our conversation with Courtnaé Paul. But of course, a lot happens. The pandemic happens. And of course, the work to getting to the Olympic stage. There's so much more that we need to dig into when it comes to her journey. It's Women in Sport Africa. We're back again next week, Sunday, 12:30 on SABC2.